What's up guys, Houndish here. You've got a super flu-ridden version of Houndish right now, but hopefully my commentary will be bearable as we jump into Director's Cut Part 2. So Luke Smith is back, and this time he talks a little bit about the year for Bungie, gives some clarification about microtransactions in the game, importantly clarifies a couple of things about the new armor system, but I think super interesting for this post will be the changes to power in the game. So there'll be some changes to some of the systems we have right now, new ways to acquire power, and a new kind of power mechanic that we haven't seen before in Destiny. So we'll jump in and talk about it all in this video, guys. If you enjoy it, a rating really helps me out, but otherwise let's get into it. So we'll do this video like we did before, and we'll touch on some of the kind of new conversations and things like that, but he confirms this is the second of 3 parts for the Director's Cut, and he said it's been a very busy year. Let's recap. Firstly, Bungie assumed publishing control of Destiny and wanted to get something new into our hands as quickly as possible, which is Shadowkeep. He says they've paired it with a free entry point for New Light to welcome new Guardians into the fold, bring Destiny 2 to new platforms, and keep heading towards the You Can Play Destiny Anywhere dream, which includes Steam and Google Stadia. And he said that we're taking the initial steps toward building Destiny as a single, evolving world, and doing this while cranking out a bunch of system changes that we've talked about and will continue to talk about heading into Shadowkeep. Before he talks about any new stuff, he does say that he wants to clear up a few things about microtransactions and the way that Bungie are looking at them. So Destiny has, and will continue to have, weapons, armor, ghosts, ships, sparrows and shaders that you can earn from activities to prove to the people looking at your character that you dig the thing, whatever that thing is. He says, let me be clear, this isn't changing. What we are doing with the new armor system is saying that you can find the perks you want, find the armor look that you want, and pursue that armor to get the elements and stats that you want and combine them to make your Guardian. Destiny also has an MTX store that houses things like sparrows, ships, emotes, ghost holograms, weapon, and universal ornaments. And the items in that store rotate and can be purchased with silver and bright dust. And starting this fall, bright dust is just another in-game currency that you can earn by completing bounties, instead of buying a bunch of engrams and sharding them. In Shadowkeep, there will be new armor sets, weapons, ghosts, ships, and sparrows, also coming from destination activities. So essentially a confirmation that nothing is fundamentally changing, and even some of the cosmetics that we typically associate with Eververse will also be dropping from destinations and modes in the game. So it seems perhaps there may have been a little bit of confusion about that. But moving into the new information, he does talk about armor, but also power stuff, and so I think it's probably good to jump in and talk about the power changes first. And so Luke Smith said that the number of powerful sources in Destiny 2 ballooned during the annual pass, and we're curating those sources down in Shadowkeep. Our target is to get the number of powerful sources closer to Forsaken's launch levels, and in Forsaken, as you overleveled an activity, meaning your power gets higher than the activity's rewards will become less valuable. But in Shadowkeep, we've changed that, and instead, the system will advertise a consistent expected powerful reward regardless of your power relative to it. So some of the kind of confusing scaling that we've seen in the past or over the past year actually won't be there anymore, and activities will have specific kind of power tiers that they can drop and that will be identified in the game. There are some elements that they're changing when it comes to powerful things, so prime engrams initially. In Shadowkeep, they'll begin dropping once you hit power 900, and you'll accumulate charges for them as you make your way from 750 to 900 power. We've increased the number of prime engrams you can earn in a given week, and rebalanced the value of each one to account for the increase in volume. And so prime engrams aren't going to be a thing until we're beyond 900 power in Shadowkeep. And of course we're 750 now, so we've got 150 power levels until we hit 900, and obviously the power level is going to go beyond that. But while we're actually playing the game, before we hit 900, we'll actually be earning kind of prime engrams behind the scene, or charges for them, that can be used to get drops once we're over 900. Definitely different, but he says for world drops, as far as contributing to your power level, world drops often feel like a waste. So world drops in Shadowkeep will have a chance to drop at a player's current power level. So if a player has an overall power of 912, if gloves are their lowest slot at 906, a player might open a legendary engram and receive 912 gloves, which would be an increase in 6 power. So that's a more minor adjustment, but he says that they're making the change because they feel like world legendaries are a little undervalued at the moment. But then continuing, you said that we want to get new players and veterans colliding quickly, and after Black Armory, we made a deliberate choice to try and do this with each new season. Both Season of the Drifter and Season of Opulence had bounties to boost up players' power levels. And with New Light and Shadowkeep being bigger moments of collision, we're continuing that philosophy, but optimizing the mechanics to fit the moment. In October, they're setting the power to 750 for both returning and new players. So every single item in the game is going to be raised to a power floor of 750 when Shadowkeep and New Light launch, and that will include all inventory items and all items in vaults. It's like a free global burst of infusion for all players. And so obviously this is a different way that they want to tackle that problem as players move into Shadowkeep. And it's definitely something that folks have spoken about. Obviously there are mixed opinions on these things because if you've earned that power in the game, especially with the seasonal model, it can become kind of undervalued at the end of the season. But here we get a very different mechanic. So first, we're introducing a seasonal artifact in Shadowkeep. It'll be unique and thematic to each season, and as the artifact levels up, it can do a few things. So first, it becomes a source of seasonal artifact mods. These are unique mods that can be equipped only during that season's artifact, and the mods may be brand new experimental mods or powerful mods with reduced energy cost, enabling players to experiment further in the build crafting space. So that's very interesting. Of course, these artifacts are going to have some quite unique gameplay abilities, and we do have to bear that in mind, especially when we look at the new armor system. But secondly, the seasonal artifact can award players a power bonus. That bonus is not applied to gear, nor does it increase the power of future drops, but instead, it's applied to all of your characters. So this is meant to give players who can't or don't want to play Pinnacle activities a seasonal path to power, and this way even if a player doesn't play the raid, Iron Banner, or the Redacted, little tease to an upcoming DLC mode there, of course it could be a PvE mode on the moon or something, could be a new PvP thing that Bungie have yet to reveal, but either way, players can still have a high power value for the season, and leveling the artifact to raise your power is meant to be a seasonal character growth. Each season will have a new artifact with new mods, and the power bonus will reset. In addition to curating the list of powerful drops though, Shadowkeep will also introduce Pinnacle powerful sources, and these sources will be the only ways to earn gear drops above 950 power in Season 8. So the power is actually going to go beyond 950. We don't know exactly how far, but Luke says the Pinnacle reward sites can award players power above 950, and this is a way of reclaiming a little bit of the character power prestige that the initial D1 power climb created. If you inspect a player and see their gear is at 960, you know that they've done a bunch of Pinnacle activities, and it's worth mentioning that as you raise your power via Pinnacle activities, other powerful reward sites will continue to drop powerful side grades. And he does kind of say that this is an initial set of changes that they want to make, although he feels that power in Destiny 2 will still be imperfect, and there'll be opportunities to further iterate on this further down the road. I'm not sure if 960 will be the kind of pinnacle power level cap, or whether it's actually going to climb above that, but also having an element of character power that is applied to all characters, and that'll be coming from the artifact, that's definitely interesting. We can see right here from a screenshot in the stream yesterday that bonus power grows as you gain XP and is applied to all guardians on your account, but resets with each new seasonal artifact. And those power bonuses arrive every time you hit one of those XP caps, and we can see there is a requirement for 55,000 XP on that character. So let us know your thoughts about that, pretty interesting insights. And for me personally, I think this sounds like a good way to mix things up. Also having a Pinnacle element of power is really good for hardcore players, but at the same time, for some of that Pinnacle stuff that can't necessarily be earned as easily, maybe for solo or more casual players, we'll still be able to get that boost from the artifact itself. So once again, let us know what you think below. Now though, Luke talks about armor in the game, and interestingly, Luke Smith says based on the kind of progression that we're going to see with the new armor, he totally expects players to be going in with Forsaken era gear, for the new raid and things like that. So that's something I kind of guessed at before, especially if it takes a while to unlock this stuff. He certainly suggests that some of our God Roll gear right now is going to be the better kind of gear in terms of perks and bonuses that we'll have hold of, perhaps in the first week or so. He breaks down, of course, that armor now has an energy meter ranging from 1 to 10. You can use materials and currency to level up the energy value of a given piece of armor. That mods have both an energy cost and an elemental affinity, so in order for a mod to be equipped, your armor needs to have rolled the correct element and have enough energy available. So Hand Cannon Reloader costs 3 void energy to equip, and he does confirm that your armor must have rolled void and have 3 energy available in order to use it. So a little bit of clarification about that, because there's been a lot of feedback about the affinity system, and some players weren't sure if specific perks were absolutely tied to specific elements that can roll on armor. And that is the case, so if you want that Hand Cannon Reloader perk, you are going to need a void pair of gauntlets, for example. But it does add that fundamentally, this means they have additional vectors for tuning things like mods. They can tune their effect, they could tune their cost, but they could also add mods to the pool for a different affinity. And so what he's saying is that once this system is in place, they could pretty easily just throw in a bunch of perks that will initially only be available on a certain armor piece. And of course, finally, when you get a mod in the game, it will be permanently unlocked, and you'll be able to sock it into any piece of armor that, of course, is compatible with it. So a little bit of clarification there. Let us know what you think about the affinity system. It's kind of an awkward one, really. I kind of wonder if Bungie have done it primarily to stop players from being able to kind of throw together god roll sets very easily. Because of course, if we have all the perks and we have all the slots there, if we can upgrade the energy required for the slots, they can be god rolls very easily. But of course, the Affinity is going to introduce some RNG into that. So let us know your thoughts about that below. He does say that a number of the current mods in the game will not work on the new armor that's dropping this fall, but those mods aren't going away, so with super mods, they can easily be socketed into new armor, but also you can break them down and some of those components will be useful in the future. Otherwise, they just give kind of more thoughts on why they wanted to add this kind of customization and functionality into the game. And that's definitely worth a read if you're interested, but otherwise we've kind of covered the bulk of the information we get in this one. Finish this by saying stay tuned for the third installment, and that is going to come tomorrow. It focuses on the action part of the MMO action game, so combat and PvP, with a bonus section on the evolving world. And so look out for that one tomorrow, should be pretty interesting stuff. And as always, I'll link this full article down below. You may have noticed in the screenshot as well some sneaky images of a couple of weapons and things coming in Shadowkeep. But otherwise, give us your thoughts in the comment section. I personally think the power changes sound pretty good. It does have some potential to add to the grind, but we'll have to see how it really plays out in the game. Also, now that we've had a chance to get our heads around the Affinity system and how certain mods are only available on certain elements, I'd definitely be curious to hear more of your thoughts about that today, now that we have a little bit more information. But if you guys have enjoyed the video, a rating really helps me out down below. And if you're new around here, be sure to hit subscribe if you want to keep up to date with everything related to the game. But otherwise, thanks as always for tuning in, guys, and whatever you get up to, I hope you have an awesome day.